So I really want to talk to you guys about grief because I actually lost my dad when I was a senior in high school. Not even a month before I actually graduated high school, he passed away. So I was very young when he passed away, and a lot of the people in my hometown or people who went to school with me couldn't relate to me, especially people from my high school. There was a few people from my sorority I could relate to, or more from University of Green Bay, but I'm just telling you, at that age, a lot of people can't relate to you. And that's how I felt. And there was more people than I thought went through something like that. But also, one of them was my sorority sister that we lived together, so it actually made it a little bit better. But losing a parent at any age is hard, but especially when you're younger. So I'm just telling you what I was going through. And there was many years I couldn't even talk about anything because I couldn't even process it. And I'm just trying to remember too, it was such a hard situation that there was many years I didn't even want to talk about it. I didn't even accept it. Like, I even think when I went to his funeral, it didn't feel real at first. Like, I don't know if anyone else has felt like that, but no one wants to accept that someone passed away that they loved, and especially someone that, was part of their family that they were close with. Like me, my dad and I were very close. But also, after it happened, it took many years for me to even be able to talk about it. I'm not lying. Like, I did not want to talk about it because, I was still processing it, and I was also really busy. I was in school and in the sorority and working a lot, and traveling a lot. So, and also I had a boyfriend at the time, now ex, but I'm just telling you my perspective. So I wish I would have actually addressed my grief sooner, but I didn't really understand what it was at that time. And as someone who was younger when it happened, it's very hard to deal with it when you're not really sure. And also my family, the same thing too. We really didn't have a lot of that at the time. My dad was the first one really in my family, major death. But there was other deaths, obviously, but I'm saying the first big one. And he was also younger, in his 50s. So no one expects that, But anyway, I just wanted to tell you that also when it comes to grief, it is you will go years without crying, right? And you'll randomly get triggered out of nowhere. For example, my sister's wedding was pretty tough because planning without my dad and him not even being there and him having a chair with his photo on it didn't feel right. It didn't feel right at all. And also whenever I get married one day, or if I do, that's going to be the same thing with me. And it's also going to probably be triggering. You know what I'm talking about? Even though it's a fun day, you just really want that person there. And even though he was there in memory and in spirit, that is very hard. And I didn't even cry for many years at that point because it was so long, so long ago. But I'm just telling you, sometimes things just randomly happen, or maybe you're just having a really hard day, but also maybe you just randomly think about him or your person that you lost. And sometimes things will just happen. But there was many years where I felt actually, I would say, depending on the person, after a few years, at least 5-10 years, it starts to feel more acceptable. You're just dealing with it and you're learning how to grieve, at least in my opinion, especially 10 years in my opinion. I was more willing to talk about it, but I'm even more willing to talk about it now. But it's still really hard because it's trauma dumping on people. And I don't like doing that either. I try really hard to tread lightly with people and also be understanding because I know a lot of people wouldn't expect that I lost a dad or parent that young. So, and also, for example, at school, after my dad passed away, people be like, oh, what are you doing for Father's Day? They're like, my dad's dead. And they would always look at me oh, I'm so sorry. I'm that's just a typical response you'll get. But I'm oh, it's okay. Normal people my age would not have a dad who's dead, so it's not normal at that age. But his death honestly had me questioning everything in life. For example, did I even want to get married anymore? What did I believe in and not believe in? Did I want to date anyone? There was a whole bunch of stuff. Did I still want to go to school? I did not know what I believed in anymore. It was really scary. And there was many years where I became emotionally numb. I'm not even kidding you. That was even more scary for me personally because I'm a feeler and I couldn't feel anything for a long time. And there was even many years I couldn't even catch feelings for a guy. It took I think a year and a half for me to even have a crush on anyone, which is not normal for me. But I'm saying I was just not mentally in the right space. I was glad though that it did happen eventually, because I was like, oh, maybe this is just always shut off from now on. I didn't know. I'm just telling you from my experience. It was really scary. And I was like, oh my gosh, what do I even believe in anymore? Like, but it did also open me up to like signs. For example, like I always think my dad sends me signs and stuff and is protecting over me. Definitely. And now I am more accepting when it comes to like people getting sick and dying, because I have experience with it. And I've also been told I'm very good at handling situations like that because I kind of grew up with it, and I had to grow up when I was very young. So sadly, yeah, that's what happens when something like this happens at a young age. And same with my sister, my older sister. We both were pretty young when it happened. She's like 3.5 years older than me, but that's still pretty young regardless, you know? That's not a normal time frame for most people to lose a parent, sadly, or anyone, you know? And it was really hard to relate to people when I went to school because I was so sad. And all my friends and sorority sisters were like, oh, let's go out and have fun. And there was many nights where I just wanted to not even go out and just like cry. I'm not kidding. And there was many nights that like I would even like cry myself to sleep because I was so sad. Like I think back to college, and majority of it I was sad. Like the beginning of it specifically, I'm saying. But it was really scary. And I think that's a normal thing too for a lot of people to go through. And I think I literally cried, like, because he died the month before I graduated high school, and I had like the whole summer to literally cry and kind of like deal with it as much as I could with what I had. But also at the same time, I don't even know how I didn't die like that summer, because like I don't remember eating anything. I guess I was just on like cruise control. You know what I'm talking about? Like just to get through everything. I don't remember eating anything. I don't. I was so small by the time I got to school. I mean, I'm already small in general. I'm like actually naturally smaller, but I'm saying it's really scary because when I'm going through something or stressed, I will usually like lose weight. I think you guys can probably relate. I think it depends on the person. But for me, I was like really skinny. I'm like, I don't even know how I survived that summer. But I guess I just didn't pay attention, but I literally couldn't remember it. I remember working a little bit because I actually went back to work before I went back to school. And that's the way it was meant to be, because my work was less stressful than school to me at that time. And I actually thought about like dropping out of school, which is not like a me thing at all. Not me at all. I'm just telling you. I'm telling you how I felt at the time. But I was like, oh, because I literally was like, do I have enough credits to drop? Because I was so sad. And I literally didn't even have a month left. Literally didn't have a month left. Like that is how awful I felt. Also, one piece of advice that I have to tell you guys is to not have a timeline when it comes to grieving, because everyone is different, and stop comparing yourself to other people and their situations. And there may be people who are similar to you, and it may bring you happiness to even know someone has gone through something similar. But I'm just telling you, do not like assume you have to go the same way or do the same things as them. But I'm also telling you, as long as if you're not like doing anything completely deranged, you know? But even if you are, I totally understand that it's hard to grieve. And some situations are harder than others, and some of us have even harder paths than others, and I get it. And there's people who have harder paths than I did. I'm just saying, like, at my age, I felt like no one could relate to me. And I've always felt older than I am. But I also give really good advice because of it, too. And I'm a good person to call when someone, like, is sick or dying, because I've been there, sadly. I'm a good person to call when things are not going well. But I wish that wasn't the case, but I'm just saying I had to grow up at a young age, and so did my sister. But I could literally make this into like a 5-part series, because I am more willing to talk about it now. But it was definitely very challenging, and I don't wish it on anyone, sadly. But death does happen at some point, because everyone's living.